Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Elliotte Friedman just dropped himself a bomb because now we are talking about the Vancouver Canucks and some extra ideas as to whom it is the team could be interested in. We're heading over onto the Jeff Merrick Show, and we're also heading over onto the 32 Thoughts podcast because Friedman dropped some bombs that I don't know if everybody is going to be super receptive of. Let's go out there and read some tweets. So, firstly, on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, this was a video segment, it's about 49 seconds long, posted by the official Twitter account that has Elliotte Friedman saying this about Carolina Hurricanes forward Marty Necas. I think that Necas is a big one. I think there's something to Vancouver. I think the Canucks like the player. I don't think they're the only ones, though. Friedman on the Carolina Hurricanes forwards market with Jeff Merrick. Now, the thing is, when it comes to Necas, we've been making videos about him every single day, it seems like. But they're mostly within the context of other teams, like Montreal, like Calgary, etc. But when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks and their apparent interest in Marty Necas, this is not new. This tweet from Grady sums it up pretty well. Friedman mentioned that Necas was in the reported deal for Elias Pettersson involving Carolina and Vancouver. With all the smoke around Marty Necas, Friedman wondered if the Canucks could circle back and name-dropped Filip Hronek since Carolina needs defensemen. Okay, now that's going to be a video topic for another day. We're not going to dive into the entire Filip Hronek for Necas deal right now, but it just kind of goes to prove a point that Necas was a guy the Canucks were interested in, and it seems like they're still there. So, with him being entered in the trade market because he's a guy whose role on the team isn't really what he wants, and there are other guys that can fill up spots on that Carolina Hurricanes roster despite the fact that Necas is a talented point producer, Vancouver getting involved here? Not too surprising. They're one of many teams whose names keep popping up here. Now, when it comes to the other idea, and this is like the ultimate oh my goodness type of moment, let's go out there and read this other tweet from Austin and Langley. Elliotte Friedman on 32 Thoughts said earlier this morning, "Don't expect a buyout for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Teams have interest in this player, and the Canucks are one of those teams." Okay, we're going out there and doing this, okay. Look, Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a guy whom Elliotte Friedman just said a few days ago that he thinks will be bought out. But, as everybody talks about with this business, with the hockey insider news business, whatever you want to call it, things can change in a day, things can change on a dime, things can change with one phone call. And with Elliotte Friedman backtracking on his earlier assessment that he thinks that Kotkaniemi is going to be bought out, into saying, yeah, no, I don't think so anymore. Teams actually really want this guy, like the Vancouver Canucks. It kind of spells more of the just the ever-evolving notion of the NHL trade market. Now, I'll say this when it comes to Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He's still young, right? Young enough? Not me trying to justify the idea of getting him immediately after making all those videos trashing on the guy, but we did make multiple update videos talking about KK and a potential buyout because this guy was just so unspectacular, overpaid, not getting played, and just totally down bad. Really, we all kind of knew this ever since seeing his press conference at the end of the season where the guy only was up there on the podium for about 2 minutes. He didn't really say much. You could tell he was dejected at the way that he performed. And now everybody's going from, okay, is it a buyout? Is it not? Is it a buyout to, yeah, no, they're not going to buy him out because teams actually want this guy. Now, when it comes to the Canucks, in particular, being the team that wants Kotkaniemi, I will say, this isn't new either. We did make videos talking about Jesperi Kotkaniemi getting traded for Elias Pettersson, and no, that wasn't because I felt that the trade idea was fair. It's because everybody else was saying that it was happening, and that it was a thing that both of these teams were talking about. It was a very weird time, and I kind of called out the Carolina Hurricanes for offering up KK for Pettersson. Oh yeah, you're getting a 3rd overall guy for a 5th overall guy, which means you're getting better, right, Vancouver? But it's like, nah, KK is not in the same planet as Elias Pettersson. So you could take that trade proposal and run away home. But it turns out, if the Vancouver Canucks are indeed interested in Kotkaniemi as some sort of a I don't know, you want to say like a Teddy Bluger replacement, or if you want to give Pettersson some more shots at the wing, it doesn't really sound like the worst thing in the world on paper until you realize that Kotkaniemi is just that bad. That he is so not worth the dollar amount that he's being paid. I mean, $4.8 million a year till 2030. Ay, ay, ay. If the Canucks are able to get salary retained on that, let's say 50%, if you're paying this dude $2.4 million a year, then that's the only time I really think that it's sort of worth it. And not even like worth it, but like worth thinking about. Because KK has been so ineffective the past few months here that I don't know how anybody can look at that and say, yeah, no, that's a guy I want for my hockey team, unless you are believing that what we had seen earlier on in his career is still laying dormant in his frame, and that he's young enough at 23 years old to justify building the future with. So, for Vancouver to be interested in both Marty Necas and Jesperi Kotkaniemi, while of course they are in different levels of talent, and one of them is going to need a contract, it does kind of make sense. If the team wants more centers, if they want more speed, if they want more up front, then okay, that does fit the bill, with Necas at least. Kotkaniemi, I feel like he's just extra added on baggage in that respect, but Patrick Allvin is going to Patrick Allvin, man. I guess he was the Pittsburgh guy for a while, so he has seen a lot of these players up front, more so than when he was in Vancouver. Marty Necas especially, because he was there in Carolina for longer. But either way, just from my own personal standpoint, I don't really have the means to wrap my head around a Jesperi Kotkaniemi deal, because it's like, even if you did get 50% salary retained, you could use that money elsewhere. Go out there and try to find the next Dakota Joshua. Try to find extra assets that can help you out and provide so much more value than their dollar amounts. Because Patrick Allvin said it himself, they got to go out there and find the players that are like Joshua, like this, like that, where they sign them out of nowhere and they become fantastic. That's where pro scouting really comes into play. And if the Vancouver Canucks pro scouts are doing their job, I think it should be met with a lot of hesitance to pursue the idea of a Jesperi Kotkaniemi trade. Necas is okay, but he might be a bit expensive, so it really depends on what you give up in some sort of a trade, and eventually the contract that you're going to have to sign him to. He's going to want a big role. He's going to want to be a guaranteed top 6 guy. And if you fill it out like, okay, you go Pettersson, Miller, Besser, Suter, I guess, that's a fine top 6 forward at this point, Marty Necas, and then what? One more winger for Elias Pettersson? Jake Gensel, maybe? Because we're sure as hell not putting Ilya Mikheyev, Sam Lafferty there. What am I saying we? I'm not a part of the team. It's going to be an interesting offseason for the Canucks and Patrick Allvin. He's got his work cut out for him. It's just very interesting to me that Jesperi Kotkaniemi's name is one of the names being tossed out there as a potential fit. Is this guy going to be the Elias Lindholm replacement? Are you kidding me? Maybe playing with Joshua and Garland, if one of them comes back, of course, could do wonders for a Jesperi Kotkaniemi playstyle, but still, is that risk worth going out there and getting burned potentially if he just kind of does what he's been doing in Carolina this whole time? So tomorrow we'll talk about that Marty Necas for Filip Hronek deal idea that was tossed out there by Friedman. We'll go out there and talk about a few other things as well. But for now, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks being interested in Marty Necas and Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Does this freak you out as much as it's freaking me out? I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.